So let's start. Today we are going to discuss the electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction, the first topic is the magnetic flux. What is magnetic flux? Magnetic flux through any surface is the number of magnetic lines of force passing normally through that surface. It can also be defined as the product of the area of the surface and the component of the magnetic field normal to the surface. Suppose this is a something area, some area, surface area. Let us choose, this is very small, so we have chosen the surface area is ds, and you know the as a area as a vector, the direction of that vector is normal to the surface. So that is why n cap is the direction vector, unit vector, which is denoting the ds vector, the value of the area and its direction along the perpendicular to that surface. This is the area vector. And surround that area there is some magnetic field. Suppose magnetic field is B. So the dot product of these two will give us the product of the area of the surface and the component of the magnetic field normal to the surface. That means this is B and this is the angle theta. So B cos theta is the component along the normal to the surface. So what we get, the flux for the small area ds will be this bds, or as a scalar quantity its value will be bds cos theta. The dot product of two vectors is always a scalar quantity. This is the magnetic flux. So this is very important uh, parameter or variable. You should remember all the time what is flux. Now if the angle between the magnetic field and the normal vector to the surface are at 90 degree, that means if theta equals to 90 degree, then the magnetic flux will be 0. So the maximum possible flux is when the magnetic field crosses the surface normally. That means the angle with the direction n cap is 0. But if the field lines just grazes the surface, then the angle will be 90 degree and then the flux will be 0. The magnetic flux will be 0. So this is very important thing. So we can write the flux, overall flux, by this equation phi equals to Ba cos theta. Now the magnetic flux across a coil can be changed by changing these three terms: magnetic field, area and the angle theta, or any other combinations of the above three terms. Now few points regarding what we have learned so far is the magnetic flux is a scalar quantity. Its SI unit is Weber or Tesla per meter square. CGS unit is Maxwell, and the relation between the Weber and Maxwell is very important. So you should try to understand those things. Another thing that we can find B as flux divided by the area, or the area, this term area. So the magnetic flux per unit area is also known as the magnetic flux density, or the strength of the magnetic field, or magnetic induction. That means this B. So here is the experiment, Faraday's experiment. Here what happens? There is a coil connected to a galvanometer. Galvanometer will show no deflection unless there is some current. If some current flows through it, there will be deflection. No current, no deflection. The magnet is at rest, nothing happens. But if the magnet starts moving, there is a relative motion between this coil and this magnet. Then what happens? Current flows through the coil. Also, two coils are there. Now, in two coils current flows, but the direction you have to see here, the direction of the current is like this, that means anti-clockwise, and here the direction of the current is clockwise. What happens actually? The motion of the magnet is such a way that the current in the coil will produced in a manner that the magnetic field produced due to the change in the current in the coil, that it will resist the magnet to move. What is happening? The magnet is moving that way. So north pole is here. So to resist it from moving in that direction, the coil must be act as some magnet which will oppose its movement. That means it will repel it. That is why the direction of the current will be such that the pole magnetic pole produced here will be north type. So north will repel north, and the north will not be able to insert into the coil, or at least it will try to resist or try to slow down the magnet to come forward. But here this magnet with respect to this coil is moving away. So what will happen? It will try to not allow the magnet to move away. So it will attract and try to pull it back. So that is why here is the north pole, because it was the south pole, and the south pole and north pole will attract each other. That is why the direction of the current will be such that the magnetic field will produce in that manner. So this is the way to remember what will be the direction of the current in the circuits depending on the motion of the magnets. See. So actually what happens when a magnet moves with respect to the galvanometer? That means there is some relative motion between them or relative velocity. So when there is some relative velocity, there was no magnetic field inside it. But when it is moving, the magnetic field is increasing in the coil. That means there is some change in magnetic field, or in other words, we can say that there is some change in magnetic flux phi. So as the magnetic flux changes, we are getting some current. Michael Faraday observed it and he gives some equation. Then what will happen? So firstly, we should follow what were the observation there. The relative motion between the coil and the magnet was there, and the induced polarities of magnetism in the coil. The direction of the current through the galvanometer and hence in the deflection in the galvanometer happens. And also the induced EMF is available only as long as there is a relative motion between the coil and the magnet. If the magnet stops, the immediately current will stop. That means the EMF stops, reaches zero value. So coil can be moved by fixing the magnet. That means what we are done, that we were, the coil was fixed, we are moving the magnet. But it also possible that we are keeping the magnet fixed and the coil is moving. That means what we need is only the relative motion between them. Which one is in motion, that is not important, but the importance is that they must be in a relative motion. So another experiment, Faraday's experiment here, in that experiment Faraday did not use any uh, magnet, rather one primary coil and another secondary coil, and he allowed the primary coil to flow some current through it. And as the current flows, there is a magnetic field created, and if there is some relative motion between these two, in the secondary coil also, see, there is no current. But when just started flow current, try to understand this. This is of no current in both the circuits. Just started, there was some current. After some time, the current flow falls off, because when the magnetic field, when the current flows, the change in magnet, because the current was zero, we got some finite value. So 0 to 1, that is a change in current. Change in current produces a change in magnetic field. And that change in magnetic field in the primary coil produces some magnetic field change. Change in magnetic field here produces some EMF in the coil. So that is how the current flows. So try to see the figure again one more time. Two coils, one is the primary coil and the second is the secondary coil. Current flows in the primary coil. Initially some current flows, but after certain time period, no current is there because there is no relative motion. There is a finite value of the current is flowing, no change in current, so no change in magnetic field. There is some magnetic field, but no change in magnetic field. We need the change in flux. Same is the case here. So what happens now? Now see in the second case. Second case, it is connected. That means current is flowing. Current is flowing, but no current in the secondary coil. But when at the instant when I am going to off the circuit, then there is some current, but that current off after a certain period of time. I hope you are able to understand. The fact is, from these two experiments, what we get that there must be some relative motion, either some relative motion between the coil and the magnet, or there must be a change in current that will give us the production of the current in the secondary coil or the other coil. In other words, as a conclusion, we can say that change in flux. If the flux changes, there is a possibility that there will be some EMF induced in the secondary coil. If there is no change in the flux, there will be no current induced in the secondary coil. So when the primary circuit is closed, current grows from 0 to maximum value. During this period, changing current induced changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. That means the experiment that is I am describing now. The changing magnetic flux, current changes. Firstly, current changes to 0 to maximum. That gives the magnetic flux changing. That changing magnetic flux in the secondary coil produces the EMF. That is the main story behind it. That means there are few steps we should follow. What are them? Firstly, primary circuit when connected, there is a change in current. Change in current produces change in magnetic flux. And that change in magnetic flux produces the EMF in the secondary coil. These are the observations made by the Faraday in different kind of experiment most. Now in this EMF and hence deflection in the galvanometer appears and that we observe. So during the period, the changing in current induces the changing in magnetic flux across the primary coil. The changing magnetic flux is linked across the secondary coil and induces the current in the secondary coil. However, note that the direction of the current in the secondary coil is reversed and hence the deflection in the galvanometer is opposite to the previous case. Because if the direction of the current changes, the magnetic field induced in the primary coil will change its polarity, and that's why everything will change in the secondary coil also. That is simple thing. Now, from those kinds of observation, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction appears. What is the law? The law states whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with the circuit, an EMF and hence a current is induced in the circuit. However, it lasts only so long as the magnetic flux is changing. That means if there is some change in magnetic flux, then only there will be some EMF produced. Otherwise, there will be no EMF. So, the important part is that the change in magnetic flux. This was the first law. And the second law is that the magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of the magnetic flux linked with the circuit. That means if the change in the magnetic flux happens rapidly, then there will be more EMF than if there are some change is less. So the EMF is proportional to the EMF that produced is proportional to the d phi dt. That is the equation that we have used for the AC generator part also. Now there is another law which is the Lenz's law. It actually comes from the first law, first experiment of the Faraday's. In that experiment, we have shown that the magnet was moving, but the current in the secondary coil or the coil was as such that it was opposing the motion of the magnet. So the direction of the induced EMF or induced current is such that it opposes the change that is producing it. That means the motion of the magnet, try to see that the motion of the magnet is producing that current, but the direction of the current is such that it is opposing the motion. Here the south pole is generated and it will repel the south pole, so it will try to stop the motion. Again, here when it is going away, here is the north pole, here will be the south pole, such that it will attract this. That means it will try to not allow the magnet to move away from the coil. So this is the thing, this is what is happening, this is the Lynch law. What is that? The current will produce in such direction that it will try to oppose the reason which is occurring the current. That means what is the reason? Reason is the motion of the magnet. So the current direction is such that it will oppose the motion of the magnet. Like that, it will oppose moving it that direction, and it will oppose also moving that direction. That is why here the opposite poles, not pole south pole, but here is the south pole. Here is a repulsion, and here is a attraction. So these are the basic things of the Faraday's laws and Lenz's law. If the current is induced due to the motion of the magnet, then the induced current in the coil sets itself to stop the motion of the magnet. That what I have discussed in the experiment 1. Now, if the current is induced due to the changing in the current in the primary coil, then the induced current is such that it tends to stop the change. That means the same thing. Now, this Lenz's law actually comes from the laws of the conservation of the energy. That means we do not get any kind of energy. What we are getting? There is some motion in the magnet and we are getting some current in the secondary coil. So it was like a free energy, just a motion. It will give us the enormous amount of energy. But to produce that enormous amount of energy, we have to push the magnet mechanically. It will not, if it was like that, it was not resisting the magnet to move, then the magnet was uh, go through the coil as its own if the opposite pole was there. As north pole is repelling north pole, that is why we have to give some pressure to the magnet to go through the coil. But if it was magnet's north pole and close to the magnet north pole was the south pole, then they will attract, then the magnet will as its own will move through the coil. Then we have to not use any kind of external energy and we will get enormous amount of electrical energy. But the story of the Lenz's law gives us that we have to give some energy to overcome the resistance. That is the laws of the conservation of energy. We are not getting any kind of energy without working. So the thing is there, according to the Lenz's law, the induced EMF opposes the changes that produces it. It is this opposition against which we perform mechanical work in causing the change in magnetic flux. Therefore, mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. Thus, Lenz's law is in accordance with the law of the conservation of energy. Now, the equation is that E equals to minus d phi dt because it opposes. And if there are n number of turns in the coil, then we have to multiply it by the n equals to minus n d phi dt. We have used this equation in finding the EMF produced by a AC generator. NAB omega sin omega t, like the equation was there. So if we would like to find out the current, then we have to divide it by the resistance. EMF divided by the resistance gives us the expression for the current. And we know that the current equals to dq dt. So from those kinds of equation, we can find out the charges, expression for the charge. So now there are some methods for producing the induced EMF. We can produce induced EMF by changing the magnetic flux B, or by changing the area, cross-sectional area, that means the rotation of the frame that we have done in the AC generator. And also we can do the same thing by changing the angle also. This is a process. We are allowing a coil to move into a magnetic field from a place where there was no magnetic field. So there is some change in magnetic field and it will give some production of the, or the change in the flux, and that will give the what, EMF. So what is that? Suppose in time dt, area inserted into the region is dA, so the change in flux will be this B into dA. And what is dA? If the velocity was v and in time dt it was moving, then v dt will be the area. This is that equation. And this is the L, this is length L. V dt is the this length v dt. Velocity multiplied by time, this is v dt. So area is actually L v dt. So let us put those things in place of dA, and what we get, d phi. And if we get d phi dt, we will get the EMF, and EMF comes to be BLV. L is the this length or that length of the coil. So this is a process by which we can produce some EMF, which is known as the motional EMF. And the directions and all those things are important. And regarding that direction, we use the Fleming's right hand rule. That is, if the magnetic field is directed like that, and the force, electric current I, and the force will be at that direction. And this is the process by which also we can produce DMF, is the AC generator process that we have discussed earlier in previous videos in the last part of the alternate current. And the thing is that we should rotate the area, cross section area of the loop, and the angle will be changed between the magnetic flux B, magnetic field B, and the area. That means we are giving some angular velocity to the loop. So this is the part that we have already discussed, but let us repeat again. Phi equals to NAB cos phi or cos theta here. You know, this is the flux defined as, and N is the number of turns in the coil. So that is why we are multiplying by the N. So this is the phi. So if we would like to find out the d phi dt, then we have to just take the differentiation or derivative, and that is how we getting this. And this is the alternate current. So this is a AC generator basically what we are getting here. By rotating the loop inside a magnetic field with a certain angular velocity omega, we are getting E equals to E0 sin omega t equation. That means we are getting the alternating EMF by using this process. So this is the alternating EMF, and this is the graph, as well as we will be able to find out the current too by dividing only the resistance. So these are the processes by which we can produce the change in flux and as a result rate of change of flux, that means EMF, will be produced, or we will get some EMF. And there are some things that are known as the eddy currents. These things also we have discussed earlier. When in a metallic block, the magnetic flux is there and the change in magnetic flux is there. Then there are the what is known that the charges will move due to some induced uh, EMF inside that block, and those currents are known as the eddy currents. Basically, when we use a loop, the current flows through the loop. But if we have used a block instead of a loop, then the current will flow inside that block. As a result, there will be some heat effects and all other things will happen, and that is known as the eddy loss due to the actually magnetic induction. The same thing happens here. But we can apply eddy currents in different kind of applications like induction furnaces, like microwave also produced by those kinds of things. Speedometer, eddy currents are used to measure the instantaneous speed of the vehicle. So these are the different kinds of uses. You should try to understand or read out any book. You will be find out applications of eddy currents. These are nothing. Now there is another thing that is very much important, that a coil produces magnetic field. Now a change in magnetic field in that coil will be able to produce some magnetic induction itself, and that is known as the self-induction. Self-induction is the phenomena of the inducing EMF in the self-coil due to the change in the current and hence the change in the magnetic flux in the coil. Previously, we were discussing that there was two coils or a coil and a magnet. The change in current produces the change in magnetic flux, and that change in magnetic flux in another coil will produce EMF in that coil. But what will happen if there is only one coil and change in magnetic flux of itself is giving some EMF to this, and that is known as the self induction, and it will oppose the uh, field or oppose the EMF. That means suppose it is the original EMF, it was giving some current direction that way, but when the induction will happen, the EMF direction will be such that it will produce current in the opposite direction. Self-induction is also called the inertia of the electricity as it opposes the growth or decay of the current. Self-induction depends on the current. That means if the current is high, the flux will be high. So this is F phi equals to Li. That is the inductance of a solenoid. We have we have used in
ইন্ডাকশন ইনার্শিয়া কি বললো ওটা শুনতে পাইনি
self-induction is called the inertia of the electricity because self-inductance এর জন্য কি হবে, কোনো একটা কয়েলের মধ্যে দিয়ে কারেন্ট ফ্লো করলে ওর মধ্যে ম্যাগনেটিক ফিল্ডের চেঞ্জ হয়, সেই ম্যাগনেটিক ফিল্ডটাই আবার ওর মধ্যে কারেন্ট জেনারেট করে, কিন্তু এমন ভাবে চেঞ্জ করবে, মানে এমন কারেন্ট তৈরি হবে যে আগে যে ডিরেকশনে কারেন্ট হচ্ছিল এবার কারেন্টের ডিরেকশনটা অপোজিট ডিরেকশনে হবে। দ্যাট ইজ ওয়াই মানে ও কি হচ্ছে, তার মানে চেঞ্জটাকে চেঞ্জ করার চেষ্টা করছে আবার। দ্যাট ইজ ওয়াই ইট ইজ নোন অ্যাজ দ্য ইনার্শিয়া।
আচ্ছা
So in the self-inducting cases, flux as we are defining flux to be like this Li, then d phi dt will be L di dt, and that is the equation of EMF produced for a inductor. We have used this equation for circuit, alternate circuit of inductor L, pure inductor. And the units, you know, Henry is the unit of the self-inductance of a solenoid, how to calculate those kinds of things is there. We know the magnetic field when a current I is flowing through a coil is mu 0 Ni. So the flux per turn will be this. mu 0 nia by L, because small n is the number of turns per unit length and capital N is the total number of length. So from those kinds of equation, doing the calculation part, Li and all those things, we get the self inductance, equation of the self inductance, which is this. And if we would like to find out the energy in an inductor, what we have to do? We have to just do some kind of integration part and we get half Li square power, sorry, work done per unit time. The energy in an inductor. If an inductor of inductance L and having current I through it, will give half Li square amount of energy. It's like capacitor, stored energy half CV square, similar kind of equation. So you should remember these kinds of equation. Today we will conclude up to this.